Let's jump right back into 125 of Sandstone. And let's just take a look at the Petrified Forest. The Petrified Forest in the first version is very cramped. Completely natural mob spawning with the exception of spider spawners, probably nearly everywhere. Zistodian Battlestick. Oh man, I did not carry that on to the next version. That's too bad. Knockback 3, Fire Aspect 2. I'm sure I would have gone through, found Zisto's video where he's playing Vex's Super Hostile multiple times to figure the scene where he's getting the battle sign to figure out what the enchantment should be. I love Zisto. He doesn't really do YouTube. He's mostly a streamer now, which can't blame him. A lot of people very successful with streaming, and YouTube takes a lot more time because you gotta record and edit. But I love the record and edit. I love the process. Spawner killer. Here I give you a hatchet, a pickaxe and a sword. Why would I call it a hatchet? You don't know. Typically, you can't really explore the Petrified Forest like this. I think I did attempt. I have lighting cues here to say which way, if you're gonna just flee in a panic, follow all the way through. Yeah. There's not that many different arms to go, it seems. Then here's... No, I just lit up the whole path. I was not helpful at all. Ah, here is the entrance to the first dungeon, named Yartha Burrow? Why? Why use a name that's difficult to pronunciate? I don't know. There's no point. It doesn't make it cooler. It makes it more difficult to remember. It makes it difficult for someone to say. It doesn't take advantage of an opportunity to kind of hint at something a little more interesting. I'm not saying, by the way, that I've done any of that with any of my updates. I'm just saying, those are the things that are worth considering. Petrified Woods, Last Hope. From the Petrified Woods, there is 2 different exits. One is to an open field, the other is to this ravine. Last Hope. And there is a tree. And it's meant to be a safe area. I don't know why I keep... Is that... Oh, that's terrible. It's a terrible footstep sound. It sounds like I'm walking on leaves. Maybe that's what mycelium is supposed to sound like. I don't know. I don't know. But you break this, and you see that, and you get two saplings. Oh boy, wow, that's the only trees in the game. Good luck, because these leaves probably aren't going to drop anything. Pretty sure they're hand-placed, actually. You know, honestly, I don't remember, and I don't really have a way to check. But if they're hand-placed, they're not going to drop saplings. If you don't break this last bit, which you should, because you should definitely be desperate. Like, this is the first time you've seen wood in the map, and you're not sure if you're ever going to see it again. And there's 2 saplings. And if you lose them, you lose the map. And that's terrible, but that's what I did. That's Last Hope. Back into the Petrified Woods. walking down this path and to the Eartha Barrow. Now, I don't think... No, I definitely cannot. I cannot do night vision. So, we will use torches. Dungeon 1. I don't know why I have a second sign there. Do you know why? He also does not care. Lots of sticky sand, poison spiders, or as we call them, baby spiders. I don't know why I did that. That's a terrible thing. Natural spawns, so whatever the game decides. Way too many cobwebs. Way too many. A chest you can't really read. Comfort food. So, some good basic items if you forgot to prepare. And then all of a sudden I've given you some food. I might have saved your life. Creative mode, you still get stuck in cobwebs. That's a change that was eventually fixed. So we've come down from this main path. It branches off to the left and to the right. Support blocks. Kind of a stupid joke. A dad joke, I'd call it. But at the time, I wouldn't have even thought to think that it was a dad joke. I try to keep your vision of spawners, the sight of them. They're not hidden. They're not just buried deep within, because that's something I didn't really like. And as we get closer down towards the bottom of the world, we have the fog, which is, as you may not know, natural in Minecraft. If you go too low, your whole screen turns dark. In fact, I think if I was not in creative mode, it'd be even darker. There's not a command I can use to switch out of creative mode into survival mode. Not that I'd want to with all these friends here. And then nothing. I'm a troll. Unnecessarily. We have here the final area. And we have the fleecy box. These, I believe... Oh, I actually used a redstone torch. I believe in the later version, I tried to make these lit up with a mapping trick. But for the most part, I kind of gave up on that because as soon as the block would get updated, it'd turn off, and that wasn't what I wanted to go for. And then you have the blue wool. We don't need to name things. I don't even know if we can name things. I could be blind, but I don't see an anvil. And I don't know if there was a different way to name things. But it ain't gonna be with a method I know. Somehow, eventually, somewhere, if you're really lucky, or you cheat like I did and go over the wall and then fly through to find this path, you get to get out. Petrified Woods, Field of the Dead, Safe Haven. Something to draw your attention. And a very beautiful desert. This is where we are so far. Okay. You can see that I just kind of placed chunks of sand in an upside down snow cone shape. Filled it with trees, replaced the trees with blocks that are unbreakable. Put spawners on the trees for people that want to go over the forest instead of in the forest. Hit a chest, which indicates that I did want you to go on top of the trees. This is the starting area. The caves are just in here, so you could kind of just dig straight out. Here is the tree, the holy tree, the last hope, and the border of the map, because I did not want you to leave the border of the map. I wanted to make it clear what the border of the map was. So I tried. But I kind of spray painted this with a little too much visual interest. It's unnecessary. It looks kind of cool, I guess. This is what it looks like when all the lava blocks are a single source. Well, everything also looks very flat. But that was either my skill level or that's what you could do with the tools. I'm sure you could do more with the tools. Because I didn't want there to be nothing back here. We have spawners. Pretty sure nothing custom about them. Just regular zombie spawners, because this is the field of the dead. And so that's what it's filled with. It's a field that is filled with the dead. I'm here all day, and you're with me. 181, Petrified Forest. Now we have a lot more breathing room. Most helpful tip, don't die. There are paths that are lit up. That's why I thought maybe I had done this in the original, but turns out no. There's paths that are not lit up. You're kind of brought immediately to the dungeon entrance. And if you follow the two different ways that are lit up, they each lead to areas that you might want to go. Now here's where I made a mistake. This is one of the main ways that I wanted to draw you to, but I also didn't want you to go there right away. So I placed these blocks in the way. But you also don't see, it doesn't look like it's a path. It makes it look like, okay, I've explored this path. And it would not be unreasonable for a player to not notice that. Even with night vision. It doesn't look like this is a path. But this is a path. You have branching areas to different loot chests, which will hopefully be of a help in the starting areas. That's the intention. And then you have another path off in this direction that would also be lit, which you can't tell now because I full bright everything. And you come out and you have a semi-clear idea of what you want to do, where you want to go. Tip, free food. This was my attempt to teach you, hey, not all spawners are bad. And then you kind of make your way carefully down, down, down to Last Hope. Named the same. With a slightly bigger tree. Still an attempt. I guess that is like a leaf sound. It's not so bad now. Another attempt at visual interest. And the same little trick, only this time only 3 saplings. So, good luck. Another tip sign. Chainmail is made from fire. That used to be true. You used to be able to hand out fire as a single item. And you could use it to craft chainmail, and I don't know why. Tip. Cook wood to make charcoal. I'm not assessing every loot chest, and that's not my intention. But I do want to kind of show off the signs so that when we come here in the other version, you can have a comparison. So, by measures of magnitude, this is far larger than 125. You have the starting area, you have the beginning area cave, you have the forest, you have Last Hope. Yet, within this forest, does not feel as cramped and fills very quickly with a lot of horrible things, even with all those buckets of space down there meant to capture things. And it's a lot more difficult to get lost. So I'd say that's a good accomplishment, good improvement. Come out here, and you get just a much more interesting reveal of what's going on. A lot of different strange areas, not just something so flat. A lot of things to explore, a lot of things to hopefully excite the player for. Excite the player with. Dungeon 1, same name. Completely redone, as you might expect, based on the other things, but there's actually a couple dungeons that I think I was able to lift, even from 125. Right away, you have the foundational support chest. These originally had fire tiles at some point between whatever the first version of this update was and the one that I have. Those stopped being a thing. Spider spawners, coal, still natural spawns. Not the best way to control that. You will notice, though, we can fly through the spider webs in creative mode, so that's really nice. Custom-ish mobs. They have a name, and they have a potion effect. They can hold items. Cave Swarmer, I think, might just have speed, but it's poisonous, so why would I do that? Still, way too many cobwebs. I understand I wanted this to be a spider place. I understand spider places would be filled with cobwebs, but the point was to be a slight irritation to the player, not a large irritation to the player. I'll show you, because we can, spectator mode, so you can kind of get a shape idea of how this is. But very similar in concept. And then we kind of come through here. And this is also where I introduce the leveled items. In every map, did I put actually LX instead of LV? Oh, bRAN. In every MiniCTM map, at least 1, 2, and 3, the ones that I've done, there is an item, and that item can be had in the different dungeons as level 1, level 2, level 3. And each one is just progressively more powerful. In this case, it's the Gale Force bow. Aiming for the center of your target is said to give it more lift. Gale Force is a word that I use a couple times. There's Gale Force skeletons. And so just pointing out that that's a good example of, if I'm going to lean into the idea that the lore in my maps point to something else, and there should be a place where the Gale Force people live. Here, still a wool block. I've switched to cyan as the first one for whatever reason. And each wool block has custom name, custom color, custom lore text. That's called lore text, even if it's not lore. Dungeon 1. Collect all 3 wool blocks, craft the 2 metal blocks, complete the monument. At this time, I consider the challenge block as an optional thing, which, consequently, no one did. It seems like no one wanted to do it, because it's optional, so I don't have to do it. People are lazy. With the power of Spectator, you can see that you come from the surface, it goes down, it kind of goes in a sideways donut. And then from there, there's a center line down to the same thing. And then from there, just one more path off to the fleecy box. A lot larger than the original. More space to move around. And unfortunately, a lot more space for mobs to kind of just collect and kind of overwhelm you. Welcome back to the improved Petrified Forest. There are actually 2 different color leaves. Very slightly different colored. That is not... this is not working out as a good example. What the heck? Very slightly. Just kind of a little orange, a little purple. Same with the logs. There's a couple variations of logs. But them being custom blocks, they don't have custom facing direction. That's coming later. So improvements for this area. I have hints of other area locations and how to get there. Directional hints. Some more orange text. Deep burrow. More descriptive. More to the point. Easy to remember. Tells you about what it is. Right away, a tip about use light to disable spawners. Very good to know. Essentially the exact same floor, except I used rooted dirt and colored slightly to kind of fit with the theme. I don't know if I changed the coloring that much for that one. I'd have to compare outside the map. Added in some sand. Kept the same lighting cues to guide the player to main locations. Anywhere on the path where there was sticky sand, I got rid of it because that wasn't the point. It wasn't there to slow you down. It was there to discourage you from just kind of jumping through the trees. But if you want to do that, then do that. I cleared this open, so you will more obviously, as you're coming and exploring through here, see that that is a path. A lot of the loot in here is similar. I made some changes sometimes. I changed the name sometimes. I think this was called Loot Pinata. I named it Perfectly Normal Party. Because I mean, why do you have a spawn egg on a skeleton on a chain with a cake? What's going on? Very confused. I actually put slabs in a lot of different places, a lot of the main paths throughout the whole map to make traversing a little easier. I have actual custom mobs. These are my cave swarmers. Very low health, but it spawns more than a normal spawner would spawn, typically. They're just so tiny and cute. Just more loot chests, more paths that lead to more loot chests. I love the glowing eyes on spiders. Let's compare Last Hope. I didn't really like the name of Last Hope, so I modified it. The opportunity to have a spawner here that spawns something good, I can't figure out how to get that to work in Bedrock. I'm not sure that it can exactly. but maybe someday. Organic, farm fresh, no GMOs. The opportunity for a custom food item, which I don't think will work in creative, but when you consume this, it will actually spawn the bits, so you kind of have double the food that's in here at a good quality and then not as good quality. So a great starting food before you get a farm going. With all the gradient coloring and mixing in the sand. And also, I mixed in the sand more on the tops of paths and less on the sides. So I think that makes a nice little touch that you probably would appreciate, but not necessarily notice. I tried to make it so that there is a path without having to break or place blocks, just because at the beginning, you're not going to really have items. And we have changed this to Hopeful Arboretum. Now, Arboretum is a bit of a word, but I think maybe many of us will know that it means something tree, and that's probably good enough. Taking advantage of the glow lichen because it lights up things, it makes things look interesting. Dripstone block looks kind of like a root to me. Not having water here, it's all dried out. Gold ore mixed in with the sandstone. 20,000 different types of sandstone. Because it's sandstone. So we need to feature sandstone. Absolutely. Let's feature sandstone. But let's make it sandstone. And then 3 different types of cobble, which match the colors of the sandstone. So I could mix it in and it looks pretty interesting. Tip, this looks just like cobblestone. That's just a hint, in case the player doesn't understand. Bedrock does have a weird thing where you cannot mix the different types of cobblestone. One of these is actually cobblestone, one of them is black stone, one of them is cobbled deep slate. So they will have different break speeds. But you can craft all the stone stuff with them, but not mixed. So I did put a recipe in here to just flip them through the different versions, and maybe someone will notice that, maybe they won't. It will show up in the recipe books. But lots of little touches like that I enjoy making to hopefully just provide a better experience. Do you know how to make charcoal? Torches are for wimps. It's a lot of the same beats from the previous map, from the previous version, but with a lot of different thinking applied. The player needs wood. There's no need to make them survive on wood tools until they get to the area that has stone. Here's some stone. Here's some stone. It looks cool. It looks interesting. There's a lot going on here. Maybe it's too much. I'm new to this sort of thing. Looks like there's a chest up there. But I think this is good. I think it's nice. When everything is sandstone, the one color, the previous version, it's just, it hurts after a while. Kind of see some stuff here. Okay. Everything looks better when not night vision. Everything looks better when it's a little bit dark. Everything looks better in this version of the map because the colors are just warmer. And again, I'm not any kind of art, anything. I don't know what I'm saying. I just know that this feels so much better than it used to. there is just as many interesting things. The lava feels like it looks better with these warmer colors. This not being obsidian, not just instantly being this very dark color, you can see it a little more, but it's still kind of a brown, so it fits with this, and it just looks interesting, especially with these areas lit up. This loads in. Some of this might be bedrock, just the way it loads things in. You kind of see the whole place. This hut in the middle looks way better. Now, maybe it's too much. Like I said, this was me following 50 different building tutorials and doing my best. Same with this. I didn't want to just repeat all the same buildings. Travel at night is dangerous. These have been updated to kind of hopefully look a little better of a fit. This, I replaced the blocks with copper. I think it looks really nice, even from this distance. And you have all sorts of interesting beats going on, and hopefully it's not too many. You have little points of light here, which is interesting. And why? We'll talk about that next time, because that's the next area. Okay, let's do a flyover. It's going to be very similar what we just flew over, except it's a lot more open. I redid this area. I didn't want to. I wasn't sure that I should, but I did. I used jungle trees because jungle trees are tall. I got rid of the vines. And for some of these jungle trees, I put dirt and I put another jungle tree, a 2x2, and I grew it. Yeah, it looks good. And I did that so that there would be some trees that went above the top, so you could kind of see them from further away. And I think we've sort of already looked at this, I suppose, but it was really interesting to try to figure out how should I have the different layers of the colors kind of stream around. But I really like how that came out. I think there is a real beauty to how it looks at night, but even during the day, I think it's pretty cool. Even over here, maybe not as beautiful, but still pretty dang nice. Let's do a walkthrough of Dungeon 1, since we didn't do that yet, at least on this version. Let's try with torches, just to kind of give the feel. So here I've opted for Soul Soil, renamed Soft Dirt. Because it gives the look, but it doesn't take away. It doesn't slow you down. What am I saying? I did a variety with the blocks here. On the inside too. And then I also mixed in the Soul Soil, which is not sticky, which does not slow you down. And because now there are so many different ore blocks, I can just make different variants of the ore blocks that I want you to be able to have access to, except kind of match them in with the environment. So the shape, the 3 sideways donuts or the 2 sideways donuts with the main chamber kind of pointing down, is the same. It's the exact same. Except now I've just textured some cobblestone in, different ores, a lot less cobwebs, an extra tip that didn't exist before. Some items are best saved for other areas. custom potions were easy to recreate. They're not made the same way in Bedrock. It's actually a little easier. They're made more like a food item, which is kind of interesting. But it lets me have different looking potion bottles and etc. Because of tools that I have, I can make different color, different size, even different models for the mobs if I want to go that far with it. Here's the Firebiter, which you'll notice he's red, and if he bites you, you'll catch on fire, and then you'll kind of realize, oh, that's why he's red. I get it. But as we get deeper, the colors in the walls change, kind of similar to the gradient that is in the outside area. Just something that you may or may not notice, but it kind of adds a lot of interest to the area, I think. Spider's Bane, very powerful weapon. Imbued with magical properties to make it last. It still wears out pretty quick, what with 8 legs to cut off every spider. As we head down a little deeper, we see more of these little guys. And then this big chamber, which I've made it a little bit easier to get down here. Specifically on this side, but not that much. You still need to take your time. Slowly safen the area. Here we have my updated Fleecy box. Gale Force bow. Slow falling arrows, because why not? Fits the theme. Same text. Fluffy cloud, wind swirl. Have a little bit of fun with the chest contents. I try to do that in all the versions. There's a monument block in here. Ah, interesting, yes. bRan, it would be good to tell the player this because it's the first time they're encountering a Fleecy box. Called a Fleecy box because typically they would contain wool. In this case, not so much. The glass is the color of the block, and the monument block is a custom block. And then I am breaking my let's keep the name simple for a little pizzazz, just because these are monument blocks. I only have 46 minutes of raw footage. Let's place the monument blocks. Let's visit the monument. We'll talk about the details of the monument later, but for now, oh my gosh, let's just fly over and place our wool block. I guess this looks a little bit better at night too, but it still just doesn't really compare. Deserted Temple Monument. Now, with an extra spot for the gold block, the iron block, and the bonus emerald block. Lava is brighter. That's just gotta be a bedrock change. It just looks better. Place the monument blocks for rewards. Sandstone Temple. Sorry. Azor monument block. Well, isn't that different? I have much more to show you, but I think that's probably enough for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next video. Have a great day.